I had a pastor, and there was nobody like him. Powerful man of God. And he died of prostate cancer. It's better you go find out early than find out late and suffer. That's what I would say. So I would even encourage the women to go ahead and encourage the men, your brothers, your sons, your fathers, your uncles. Tell them, go get checked out.
We may look different and live in different countries, yet our stories are knitted with the same threads of excitement, uncertainties, challenges, and victories. As we journey through the ups and downs of life, it is our undeniable will and God's strength that propel us to joy after pain, smile after frowns, and ups after downs. We were born to win. We were destined to greatness. We are overcomers. Welcome to GodScoop's raw and unedited stories. Welcome to Raw and Unedited Stories. I am Patricia Daly, your host. Today with us is William Ryan, an ordained minister, a radio broadcaster, father, husband, and friend to many. Hi, Ryan. How are you, my brother?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing extremely well. God is good.
I am so excited to have you on God's Scoop, on raw and unedited stories where you can tell your story, Ryan. And also, everybody has a story, as we know, right?
Yes.
And before you start telling our God Scoop community your story, I just want you to tell us, where were you born?
Well, actually, I was born in a small island by the name of Montserrat in the Eastern Caribbean, close to Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis, and French island of Guadeloupe. So I'm right there in the mix.
Wow, that's interesting. Thank you for coming. We have never had anybody from that region.
Okay.
Well, you're the first, and I hope there will be many more of you. All right.
Amen.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Ryan, talk to us about your story.
Wow. My story, I tell you, my story. I don't know if we have enough time to tell the entirety of my story, but I will say one thing, that God is good, because when I was born, I believe I was only about 3 pounds.
Wow.
That's the beginning. Okay, I was only about 3 pounds, and was not a totally healthy baby from what I was told. Grew up with a lot of challenges, but I believe at the age of 27, I found out that there was a defect that I was born with that was causing me a lot of problems. And it's only by the mercy of God that I'm here, because the surgeon had told me, when we found out what it really was, the surgeon told me if I didn't get in contact with them at the time that I did, I wouldn't be here.
Wow.
I
Wow.
wouldn't be here. So I had malrotation of the intestines, meaning when I was being developed, your stomach turns whatever amount of turns it makes, and then it gets to the right spot and it stops and everything else, but it didn't do that. So I had some rotation, meaning stuff didn't turn all the way that it was supposed to.
Wow.
And that caused me a lot of problems.
William,
Yeah.
so you discovered this at what age?
At age about 27.
I heard that before, but I had to ask the question, like, because how did you manage growing up with that situation?
It was God. You know why? Because one of the nurses and one of the surgeons told me, normally you see that in pediatric cases in babies, and if they don't fix that within the first year, that baby dies.
Wow.
Okay, and I lived to be 27 at the time. And
Wow.
the way how it showed up is that certain things I couldn't eat, like cabbage. I couldn't drink coconut water. stuff like that would get sour in my stomach, and then I would, start throwing up, and that'll go on for about 2 weeks straight. I couldn't eat anything, and I just throw up every day, 2, 3, 4 times a day. Can't eat nothing until the stomach releases itself. That they told me it goes into a knot. It knots itself. When it does that, nothing passes. When it unknots itself, that's when I feel okay. That's when I can eat. And that went on. I think it showed up when I was probably about 12 years old. Yeah.
So, were you able to play sports and go to the beach and swim?
Yeah, it wasn't an everyday. It wasn't an everyday thing. It's once in a blue moon. Like I will go for a couple of months and I'm good, and then all of a sudden, boom. But yeah, I played cricket. I tried to play soccer. I didn't really like it, too tough, because I got kicked in the shin a couple of times, and I call that quits. But yeah, I used to go to the beach. I was always involved in music. I'm also a musician. I'm also a singer and worship leader. And so, yeah, I was heavily involved in music, writing songs, playing. I play the bass. I do play the trumpet a little bit. Yeah.
So I'm hearing purpose. I'm hearing purpose. That's what I'm hearing. The theme, purpose.
Yes.
Because God held on to you on a string.
Yes.
That's what I am hearing.
Yes.
So tell us the journey to overcome that particular challenge and other challenges in your life.
I really and truly had to trust God. And the funny thing, on top of that, was the fact that I dealt with chronic bronchitis right up until I was 24 years old. And that is what held me down for the most part. I spent more time home than in school, because when that bronchitis hit, I had to stay home. But God knew that if things was good, I would have done my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I love music. I love to sing. And I probably would have been one of them down there in the islands, got involved in calypso and soca music.
Mm-hmm.
Because, hey, that's my thing. But God decided, no, I'm going to keep my hand on you, so you can't do what you want and go where you want to go, because that will divert me from, But, yeah, it was challenging. It was rough. And many times I thought I wouldn't make it.
So,
many times.
Ryan, your name is William Ryan. I prefer to call you Ryan.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
That's fine. That's fine.
All right. So, Ryan, how did the doctors use procedures and surgeries and etc. to get you to the point of getting married and being a father and an ordained minister? What happened from there? Talk to us.
Well, the thing about it is that I was already married when I actually found out what the situation was, because I was on every medication that they prescribed for acid reflux, because that's what they thought it was. But no matter, I tell you, I can name them: Prilosec, Prevacid, from Tums, everything that they had that people take for that, I was on it, and nothing worked, And so I ended up in the hospital, I think, twice. One time I went on vacation. I was in the island of Anguilla. My entire vacation was spent at the I think was it Princess Anne Hospital, I think the name of the hospital, in Anguilla. My entire vacation I ended up in a hospital because of that situation, And so I was already married when I found out, and I think I had already had my daughter, my second daughter, actually, because I got another daughter who's living in St. Kitts, and that one is not from my marriage; that was from before. So, but yeah, it wasn't an easy road. Believe me when I tell you that it was not an easy road. Many days having to be out of work, because I just couldn't function, And the thing about it is that it'll get so bad, and with the nausea we get, it just it'll get crazy to the point where wherever I was, I had to stop what I was doing and find somewhere where I could throw up. Unfortunately, but that's what happened too many times because the stuff won't go down and it won't, and the only way out is to come back. So yeah, it was challenging.
So where are you now with that? And
Oh, I'm
how?
good. I'm good. I had surgery in 2005. I believe that was 2005. I had surgery, and it was 4.5 hour surgery. And the surgeon told me. I remember the surgeon like it was yesterday. Dr. Julian Supplice. He was from Haiti. Excellent, very very quiet man, but
Mm-hmm.
an excellent surgeon. And
Mm-hmm.
he told me, he said to me, young man, I had to go in and literally take everything out
Mm-hmm.
and rotate it the way it's supposed to
Mm-hmm.
and put it back in.
Mm-hmm.
He said you had a lot of scar tissues. He asked me if I had surgery before, even though there were no scars. I said no. He said you had so much scar tissue inside. It made me think that somebody was in here before. I said no. So I'm telling you, I'm a walking miracle. And on top of that, during all of that, I found out that I only have one kidney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only one kidney.
Mm-hmm. So, Ryan, I am hearing miracles after miracles in your life. Talk
Yes,
to us about the other miracles that the Lord has taken you through. And I'm so happy to know that you're still here smiling after going through so much.
yes, yeah.
So, what? Talk to us. Tell us the stories.
And it's not over. It's not over because October of last year. I'm making sure now. Yes, I believe it was October. October of last year, I was diagnosed with early stages of prostate cancer, and I'm feeling pretty good. I did a procedure. Um, they call it brachytherapy. It's a seed therapy where they implant radiation, very very small, like rice grains, radiation seeds into the prostate. The
Mm-hmm.
surgeon who did that, he said to me, he said, I would normally implant about 46 seeds, something like that. He said, but for you, I did 79 seeds.
Mm-hmm.
I say it must have been God leading him,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because, he just went over for me, but normally he would do a certain amount and that's it. And for me, he went to the extreme. And so I believe that like you said, it's testimonies and miracles, and because God had been calling me for a long time, but like Jonah, I kept on going my own way. So, and like I said, it still continues. I still got to go and have checks done, make sure everything is okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I make sure everything is progressing like it should. Like I said, I feel pretty good. But along with that, I came back here from the UK. I was in the UK for 8 years. Came back here in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed like every time I'm in this country, my my blood pressure goes up. When I'm in Europe, I'm fine. No high
Right.
blood pressure, no medication. I'm good. Got back here, got back on medication, high blood pressure.
Mm.
So it's
Well,
one challenge after the next.
Ryan, and you're still smiling.
I'm still smiling.
And you're still smiling. Awesome. Awesome. Commendable. And that smile is because of Jesus, I'm thinking.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Ryan,
Amen. Uh,
so many of our black men are afraid of going to the doctor to check on their prostate. And I am so thankful that you brought up that story,
Uh-huh.
because I want to find out from you,
Hmm.
what were some of the early symptoms of prostate that you, why, what took you to the doctor? How did you get through that? And I'm going to ask you some other question that is going to help others who are
Hmm.
afraid to check on
Yeah.
their prostate.
Yeah. Well, I went for my regular, my regular yearly checkup. They did some tests, and my doctor called me, and she said, "I don't like the way how things look. The readings that I'm getting are off the charts. Something is not right." And she said to me, "Are you feeling any discomfort?" At the time, I said no, because she didn't explain where the discomfort would have been. Then I could say, yes, I am. So I said, no, I'm not, because I couldn't think of it at the time. But then later on, I said, wait a minute, this must be what she's talking about. Whenever I get dressed and I put my pants on and put my belt on, when I tighten my belt, right on my right side, where the belt comes right around on my left side, I start feeling a discomfort right there. Like something is not right. I can feel a slight pain. That went on for a good while. So I had called her back. After she called me, and I called her back and I said, yes, I am feeling discomfort. And I explained where. She said, yes, because the reading that I'm getting from your prostate, I think it was a PSA, is too high. She said, so come on in and we'll do some tests. So I believe we did an ultrasound, and we did a CAT scan, and I don't think that they had gotten everything that they needed from the CAT scan. So she said, I'm going to send you to a specialist, a urologist, and let's see what happens. So when I went, he asked me, well, what did they do? And I told him. He said, you know what? I'm going to order another CAT scan. I need to see this. He said, because whatever he was looking for from the CAT scan, which my other doctor did, he wasn't getting all the information that he wanted. So he didn't know it. And then he said, yes. He called me. I was at work, and he called me early morning. And I knew once I saw his name pop up early that morning, it was just after 7 o'clock. I'm like, this is not good, because the office don't open until 9.
Mm.
Automatically, I knew there was something. And he said,
Mm.
I got good and bad news for you. So he said, which one do you want first? I said, listen, just give me both of them. Whichever one you want to put first, that's fine. She said, well, here's the bad news first, but then I'm going to give you the good news. She said, the bad news is that we found prostate cancer. The good news is it's early, extremely early, so we can do something about it. And I said, well, thank you. I appreciate it. And that was it. Then I had to do my research right after that, and kind of look at the possibilities.
Mm.
What are the possibilities? Because I remember my former pastor from Montserrat, he had that. He passed away with that one. And I remember, and I said, I'm going to check, because I also know of other people. There are other men in my assembly here in Georgia that been going through the same thing.
Ryan, if I may ask, how old were you when that was first diagnosed?
I was 53.
Okay. And I have a reason for asking that question, because many of our young men believe they're too young to check on their prostate.
Nah.
And how did the treatment process go, and what did you go through, and how did you overcome all of that to where you are now?
Well, I tell you, at first, there was a lot of discomfort, but the radiation seed therapy, as the other name for the brachytherapy, I went in, they did that. They gave me, came up with a catheter for one night. Next day, I had to go and have it removed. Yeah, so it was, I went in early, was a Wednesday morning. Then on the Thursday, I had to get up and go see the cancer doctor. I had to go see him, the oncologist. Right. And so that they will remove that. And the funny thing about it, the Wednesday night was not a good night for me. Okay. It was a lot of pain, but what made things worse is that when they put the catheter in, they were supposed to secure it. The nurse told me they were supposed to tape it to my leg. They didn't do that. They left it hanging. So you can imagine what I had to deal with from the time I got it done till the next morning. Oh yeah, it wasn't easy. And then it started leaking. Yeah, so it wasn't an easy road. But I tell you something though, I firmly believe that men need to go and get their prostate checked. I know exactly what they're thinking about when they hear about that.
Right.
They don't want anybody to play around in the back garden, and they certainly don't want nobody playing around in the front yard. But guess what? Somebody got to check it out. It's for their best, and if caught early, they have options. But I know that what that thing does, if left unchecked, I wouldn't wish that on my enemies if I had any. Okay, I've seen brothers suffer with that, and so I would admonish anybody to go ahead quickly and get it done. I believe from the time you hit, personally, from the time you hit about 40, 45, I think it's time to start getting it checked. That's the earlier the better. That's how I feel. Yes, because the problem is it affects us, people of African descent, more than anybody else. The numbers are extremely high when it comes on to us. Everybody else, the numbers are very much smaller. But for us, it's huge. It affects us more than anybody else.
Ryan, there are some men who would tell you, I can drink my ganja tea, I can eat only vegetables and raw food, live food, and I'll be fine. What would you say to these men?
Listen, I would say self-diagnosis is no diagnosis. You need to go and have it checked. Unless they're certified, unless they got license for to be a medical doctor, I tell them, listen, you can come up with all the stuff you want to come up with, but there is no guarantees it's going to work.
Okay. So Ryan, I'm going to ask you a question that is, many men will not want me to ask them that question. And the question is, after your diagnosis and after your treatment, does it prevent you from being the way you were before?
Well, that's kind of because I think everyone differs. Everyone differs, so it's kind of hard to. I can't give a overall answer for everybody because some people, according to my urologist, some people bounce back faster than others. It takes some people a longer time to get back to where they were, and others get back there quite sooner. So the timeline is really, it's just an individual thing, you know. But I do know that some people might end up in the end needing some help because it really affects everything in that area right there. Yeah, once they go there and they mess around with the stuff, you just never know. Some people are fine, some people have no issues.
So what I'm gathering is that some people will be able to perform normally again, and some people will have issues, maybe based on their genetics looks or maybe their health issues
Yeah.
in terms of their physical health
Yeah.
and so on. So that's what I'm gathering from what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Mm-hmm.
Also, tell us, how did that make you feel as a man? Because I'm believing that some of the issues that our Black men are having, that they're afraid, they're so afraid, and because it's a sensitive area. So talk to us
It
about
is.
how you feel as a man.
And that's the reason why I chose the procedure that I chose,
Mm,
because I knew that it would affect me somehow. And one of the things I did not want to do is remove the prostate.
mm-hmm.
That's an option. But I tell you something, and I understand how most men will feel, because when you remove the prostate, I'm gonna say it this way: if there was 6 inches there before the prostate, with the prostate, you're probably gonna end up with 4 inches after the prostate is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because once they take that out, there's a void, and they have to attach what's left to something. Whatever they attach it to in the back, pulls it back about whatever amount that prostate was that they removed. That's going to take up the space. So you're going to end up shorter than you were before. And I know a lot of men that say, "Oh, no, I don't want that." But the thing about it, I've got a brother who did that, because as far as he's concerned, that was his best option.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you find that prostate cancer runs in the family, then you want to say, okay, you know what? Let me do what I feel is best in my situation. For me personally, I can't tell you of anyone that I know in my family that had prostate cancer. However, my father had bowel cancer, and my grandfather, he had throat cancer. So somehow there's this cancer thing running in my family. But prostate, no, I don't know of anybody else.
So Ryan, tell us, how did you overcome the psychological ramifications of that diagnosis?
I just prayed. I just trust God. I said, you know what, God, everything is in your hands. Everything. You know the beginning from the end, and you know the in between. And so I'm not going to let that stop me, because my purpose is still greater than the situation that's going on now. And God has a way of showing up when you think that it's all over.
Amen.
When you think it's done, when you think you're through, He has a way of showing up on the scene and let you know it ain't over until I say it's over.
Mm.
And I believe that I'm a late bloomer, so I believe I'm just getting started.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe that everything that has happened to me till now, God is preparing me for something great.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at it and it says, this is not going to stop, because I still believe that God has a plan, and all I'm doing right now is just going through the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because all of this is going to come together to help somebody.
Yes. And I'm glad you said that, because I was just getting ready to ask you to take this a few minutes just to talk to men about the need to be aware of their body, and be aware of the need to do physical checkup and all of those things. Just talk to our men, especially men in the church who think that they can pray and the Lord can deliver them from that experience, or they can exercise every morning and they don't need to do their checkups, and all of that, and all of those false belief system that some men do carry, and because of that, it has impacted their health and ultimately their lives. So use this forum to talk to our men.
All right, let me say this to the gentlemen that are watching, and I pray that they'll share. Let me say this: we're in this physical body, and this physical body breaks down, and because of that, we are prone to diseases. We are prone to many health issues. Doesn't matter the amount of faith that you have. Okay, we have to go through this because we know in church, because of sin. And so we're going to go through that. Like I said, I had a pastor, and there was nobody like him. Powerful man of God. And he died of prostate cancer. And I know that we prayed, and I know that we had faith. So you can pray and have faith. Okay, my first lady passed away, and we prayed and we fasted, we had faith. But guess what? God said no. It's her time. So when it's your time, it's your time. But what you've got to do in the meantime is do your due diligence and go get checkup when you're supposed to, okay? And try to eat as healthy as you can, yes. Do your exercise, yes. But yet still, you cannot guarantee what will or will not happen. That's not in your control. God controls that, you know. And come on, we have to use common sense. And if our families are prone to certain things, then I'm sorry, but you're no exempt. Okay, there's no exemption for you. If you're part of that family, you know what you guys suffer with: high blood pressure and the other stuff. You know, what was it? High blood pressure and diabetes and you name it. Our families are prone to that stuff. So, what makes us exempt? We're not because we have faith. No, we've got to go through. But I would tell you, it's better you go find out early than find out late and suffer.
Mm.
That's what I would say. So I would even encourage the women to go ahead and encourage the men, your brothers, your sons, your fathers, your uncles. Tell them, go get checked out. Go get checked out, because they could do more for you when you find out than when you wait till it's too late. Then there's nothing that they can do. And then you're going to wish that I should have. Okay? But then it's going to be too late. So, you know, before you make funeral arrangements, go ahead and make an appointment and go see your doctor and pray that all is well. And if all isn't well, then see what the possibilities are and what can be done.
Well, William Ryan, I thank you for just being vulnerable about that issue that so many men are afraid to talk about.
Yes.
I thank you. I thank you for sharing on GodScoop. And I want you to take this time too to talk to us about what you do now and how, tell our viewers and listeners how we can support you in the mission that you're on.
Well, what I do now, I try to encourage people. I do little motivational reels. I post them on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, except I put them on my YouTube channel. I do have a YouTube channel under my name, William Nelson Ryan. And I try to speak to people about life. And everything relates back to scripture, you know. So I try to put a scripture, but talk to people about the realities, the stuff that we are afraid to talk about, the stuff that's taboo, especially relationships. Talk about love and what's not love. You know, 1 Corinthians 13 tells us what love is. But we go around talking about love, but how can you love, you know, God, but you hate your brother? You know, so what kind of love is that? What man will beat his wife when he says he loves her? So what kind of love is that? Then we know that that's not love. That's infatuation or something else and lust. But it certainly ain't love. So the thing about it, I speak to people about love. I speak to the women about getting out of the abusive situations that they're in. Run if you have to, but get out. You know, the men also, because they got women that are abusing men. And you know, men don't like to talk about that stuff. But yes. So I talk to everybody about that kind of stuff. Get out. You know, so I'm on social media doing that stuff and trying to bring awareness to life, you know, and hey, some of us, we're in the church and we think that we're exempt, or we're not exempt. We find that sometimes we make the bad choices. We choose the wrong person. And then we end up in situations and we wonder why. But God gave us the choice, and we made the wrong choice because our eyes were not open. Sometimes we make excuses for what we see. You don't do that. See, one thing for sure, you can't change anybody. They have to want to change. See, your job is you're not a change agent to change them. So when you see certain things that are not right, you stay away from it. You don't get yourself involved and align yourself with the wrong people. When you align yourself with the wrong people, then you got to pay the consequences. See, they say it's cheaper to keep her, right? That's what they say. Yes. But sometimes you get in and you wasn't supposed to be in there in the first place because you were disobedient. You didn't listen.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Ryan, I thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being so candid. Also, many of our millennials believe that, oh, this topic that we are talking about, oh, it's for old people, it's for 40 and over, it doesn't have anything to do with them, and so
Mm-hmm.
on. So I really want you to use this time to just talk to our millennials.
Wow, I tell you, I got two daughters that fit into that category right there, and I tell them all the time, you know, be mindful of the choices that you make. It's not just for old people. Okay, we see young people getting into situations and ruining their lives because somehow they think that the world is running away from them. And I tell them all the time, it's not. If you keep yourself pure, if you love yourself, if you have respect for yourself, you don't put yourself in certain situations. And if people say that they love you and they're your friends and they encourage you to go the wrong way, then they're not your friends. Okay? Because friends wouldn't lead friends down the wrong road. That's not your friend. Okay? Friends tell you what's right and help you to do what's right. So when you find yourself in a situation where you're going the way that you were not brought up, understand anything contrary to the word of God is a problem. So you got to think for yourself and make sure that you tell yourself that you are going to put God first, not the other stuff. When you hurt the heart of God, you're only hurting yourself. And I tell them that. I say you can't straddle the fence. Can't have it both ways because you're going to pay for it later on.
William, Ryan, thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to share with us on GodScoop your story. It is your story and your story that will help millions of people. Thank you, Ryan, William.
You're welcome.
William Ryan. I'm turning the name around. I like the name Ryan because so many people I know with that name.
Yeah.
I just want to thank our listeners and our viewers for tuning in to Raw and Unedited Stories. And we know that everybody has a story. But before you even click the link below to tell us that you want to share your story, if you need to reach Ryan, you can. His link will be available below as well. The description button, his link will be there. And if you have a story to share too, you can click the link below. And remember to subscribe, share, and like. Have a phenomenal day.